Hi, everybody. It's Rebecca. I'm going to talk to you about my life journey a little bit. Um, I've been asked to share some details about what I have gone through regarding my life changes that have impacted how I view myself and how I have developed missions for myself over time. So as I move this way, I am picking off sticky notes because I have them all lined up around the edge of my computer so that I can remember what it is I want to talk to you about. When I first got out of high school, I already had gotten my hairdresser's license, my hair designer's license. So I went to work immediately, like the day after high school. I did that work for about 15 years. Back then, there weren't a lot of options for women, and my parents, being second generation, or actually first generation Americans, didn't see college for women as an important thing, but they said, okay, go be a hair designer. Well, actually, I did really good. I really loved the work. I became a trainer for a very large company. I traveled, which was really fun. But after about 15 years and getting married and having a couple of kids, the fashion industry sort of lost its hold on me. I really became more interested in my family, and I became more interested in just what my kids were doing. And if you can imagine raising children, and many of us have and do, you've got these little ones running around and your clothes aren't really very clean, and trying to be in the fashion industry at the same time that someone is throwing up on you or peeing on you, trying to find those decent pair of shoes or even find a pair of shoes that match at the back of your closet was just next to not happening. So after some time and being at home for a while, my husband says, you probably should go back to work. And I said, well, there's no childcare. We've got these kids and childcare is expensive. He says, there's a daycare up the road. Why don't you just call them and see what's going on, and maybe you can take the kids. And I kind of went, is this something I really want to do? So I called and she interviewed, and apparently I had enough of a heartbeat and they hired me. So I did that work, and I realized how fabulous the work was, how wonderful it was, how much I was enjoying it and loving it, but how little that I really knew about child development. So I decided to go back to school. And there was a community college down the road, actually, as it turned out, a very good early childhood program. So I started back to school, still worked. I would have to get up sometimes at 4 in the morning to open the daycare center, and then work a split shift to go to school, because remember, there was no online back then. I mean, we're talking way back then. No online, so I had to do face-to-face, and then come back and close the center. I did that for a long time. I did it for about 18 months. It took me about 18 months to get my AA. And in that, there were a lot of ups and downs. As I was gaining more knowledge, I was bringing what I was learning to the program. And unfortunately, it was meeting with some resistance. I didn't want it to be that way. I was trying to do developmentally appropriate practices, but it really wasn't welcomed. And I wasn't trying to usurp anybody's authority. I was really just trying to make a contribution. And I ended up leaving, and wasn't under great circumstances. People were upset. But I did land another job with some great people, just kind of up the road, and very nurturing, very accommodating for my schedule, which was lovely. And I worked there until we moved to Oregon in 1990. When I got to Oregon, I felt really displaced. I didn't know at that point who I was. I had given up a partial scholarship for my bachelor's degree back in Colorado. And I couldn't find a job that I really felt I would fit in. I got turned down for jobs that I thought that I would fit in. And finally landed a job that was, for the next 3 years, was going to be very, very fulfilling. And I was able to take what I knew and keep working on my bachelor's, and was very fulfilled. Well, lo and behold, administrative changes started happening. They were making some changes. They were going to move into just from part-day program to a full-day program. They're going to move from one building to another building. So there was a lot of construction things going on. And I, again, felt displaced. What I felt that I knew and was comfortable with was no longer working with the new administration. They wanted to come in with some different ideas and expand some things. And I again, was uncomfortable. And even some of the parents that had moved from the part-day program into the full-day program were starting to feel uncomfortable during the shift. And this is sort of a natural thing that happens when there are changes in a program. Sometimes it can be very clumsy and very awkward and very uncomfortable. I had one parent turn to me at one point and say, Rebecca, why don't you start your own program? And I never considered that. Me start my own program? I never thought of myself in that role. And the more that I thought about it, the more I liked the idea, and it gave me hope, it gave me energy, and it really was starting to revitalize myself, which I loved. So as I continued to pursue my bachelor's, I did start a program, which was very fulfilling for a great deal of time. And I want to tell people that through my career, there have been ups and downs. And, even in other programs that I've worked in, I've come close to getting fired. I've gotten written up. I've come eyeball to eyeball with people that don't agree with me. These things happen. It's part of being human. And especially when there's administrative changes, that can be very hard and difficult on teaching staff, because all of a sudden now you've got a whole new norm that's coming in, and it's tough. And sometimes we just have to weather through that. But these are also growing opportunities. And this is what I want to touch on, is the growing opportunities that sometimes we miss. We don't recognize in the throngs of grieving of what was lost, we don't necessarily see what could be coming as an opportunity. And there are moments when we need to step back and really look at ourselves, because there are challenges. We're human, we make mistakes. There are places where we can improve. And it's difficult when someone holds a mirror in front of you and says, Rebecca, this is an area where you're not very good at. It's like, who, me? It's like, yeah, you. And in those moments, I feel saddened that maybe I had offended people and I didn't mean to. I feel saddened that maybe I've been found out, that I'm not perfect. And I begin to start thinking and sometimes even doubting myself. Life is a series of gains and losses, but there is that balance. And as one door starts to close, other doors will open. But sometimes in the process of trying to remedy things and in the grief process, we can miss those doors. So understand that relationships change among staff and among administration. In our personal lives, relationships change. But there's always opportunities on the other side of those relationships. And not to forget about looking at the doors. They're there and they're waiting for us. So as I looked through and I was reviewing the second part, PowerPoint 2, I was noticing, the snake and the shedding and all these other analogies that we're going to make. And I looked and I went, oh my gosh, I'm there. I'm going through another shift in my life. It's exciting, but these shifts can be big, they can be small, they can be a death of a loved one. We have had and experienced that in our family. New jobs come along and you're trying to adjust to new schedules and what's the expectation of a new job. Completing your degree is a huge undertaking, but in that there was so much exertion of energy that went into that. Welcoming new family members, babies, saying goodbye to those babies as they grow up and they leave for military service, they leave for college, they're getting married, and then sometimes they come back. Those are all those losses and those gains that we have in our lifespan. And in our lifespan, we might step back during certain stages and say, I feel differently about myself. Well, yeah, the mission that you've been undertaking is changing. You're changing. I've gone through some mission statement changes because I've changed and my role has changed. And the contributions that I'm making currently are not the same as when I was existing 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It all shifted. We might stand back and wonder, are we being really truthful with ourselves at this time period in our lives? We might have offended people, not unintentionally, and we need to make amends. We might need to ask ourselves, am I doing the work that I need to do to move towards my actual ideals? What are my ideals? What are my passions? Am I moving towards those? Am I being honest and truthful and authentic? Am I still kind of vacillating back and forth between things, which we might refer to as duality? Have I set logical goals? Have I set realistic goals for myself? It's always helpful to have check-ins with people you trust, with people that know you very well, but are unconditionally honest and unconditionally have regard for you. They are going to take care of you, even though they may have to tell you some things that are difficult. Look for people at different levels, both professionally and personally. You know who they are. They're going to be different in your life. People who can be brutally honest, but still with love. Write these things down. Take these words, these power phrases, and write them down, because they are a part of you. They will see you through a real diverse lens, probably much more than what you can, what I can. It's like that parent that approached me and said, why don't you start your own program? I know I didn't think that I had the skills to do that, but as it turned out, I did. Did I have all the skills? No. I've been learning life by the seat of my pants, like a lot of other people. But we can always go back to our mission statements, and we can ask ourselves, am I still focused where I need to be? Has my energy shifted? Have my interests shifted? Have my passions shifted? Is my mission statement still relevant to those interests and those passions? Am I currently I'd mentioned that I'm going through my own shedding right now, and my emotions are just going from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I'm currently feeling sad as I'm watching one stage of my life end and come to a close, and yet so happy because there's so many other possibilities that I'm noticing, and I'm excited about that. I'm weary, but I'm also exhilarated about the potential that still awaits me. I'm very curious about the next stage, but I'm also very cautious. It's always those little voices in your head, well, what if this and what if that? But I'm excited about the future and excited about these possibilities that are in my life and still coming. All of these feelings and all of these emotions remind me that I'm alive. I'm not done yet. Life is still there for me to live and to learn from. And as I look at my mission statement currently, I've had to step back and ask, am I being authentic towards my mission statement? Am I embracing the challenges that are there? And hopefully will continue to embrace those challenges as the days move forward and the months and years move forward. So I can't express to you what a pleasure it is to be here with you and to move with you through this process. It requires a lot of deep thinking about ourselves and to really get out of our head space and into our heart space. So until we talk again, I love this little saying, may there always be stars to steer by. May you light the way for others. May there always be others to guide you. May there always be love to bind you. So take care, be kind to yourself, but be honest with yourself. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.